Howdy, hey folks, I'm Jesse with Team SodaKan, and February 18th, a pretty big announcement for the Digimon TCG was announced that some new core rules are going to be tested out at Digifest in the beginning of March for the US, I believe, for North America at least. And what these rules are is first of all, I'm going to, somewhere on the screen is going to be the little sheet that has been tweeted out and all that, and has been getting its traction. And you'll see on the sheet that what's getting tested out is a mulligan for the game, which I'm going to be honest, I think that this is a very fair mulligan for how the game is played. And I'm going to go over it here in a little bit. And also, side decks, which I'm not quite sure how I still feel about the idea of side decks. And in particular, what the Digimon TCG is going to be receiving, or at least be testing out, is a 10-card side deck. Now, if the thing is still on the screen, I don't know if I'm keeping it up that long, just for the sake of things. The side decks may include main deck and Digi-A cards, so you can swap out any of your babies or any of your main deck in between games during your match. Now, of course, the limit of the cards with the same card number, name, all that still applies, and the ban list still applies. So, with the ban list that's coming into effect on the 25th, I can't run one ice wall in my main deck and then have one ice wall in my side deck. That's just not going to work out, because then during game 2 and 3 I can essentially have 2 ice walls in my main deck. Like majority of games, side decks are not public knowledge. The amount of cards are public knowledge, and what Bandai wants us to do is present our side deck in front of our opponent, face down of course. This is a real quick thrown together side deck for Jesmon that I literally grabbed out my binder just for example's sake. But what Bandai wants us to do is present our side deck to our opponent face down, and then just reveal how many cards are in the side deck. That is, public knowledge. During the game, the side deck can, be in a deck box, but the deck box should stay on the table, which is pretty standard for other games that do sideboard. And then just another thing, at the end of the match, obviously, return your main deck and your side deck to the way that they were before the match began. And then if a game loss is given to a player before the first game actually starts, you are not allowed to side out cards before game 2. That's just going over the rules part of the side deck. So the mulligan is very interesting. It is just you set up your security like you would, and then you draw your 5 cards for your hand, which we will take a look at in a little bit. This is my Jesmon list. It was recently shown on the channel. I did do some updates, I've added the War Growlmon and whatnot. Just getting ready to swap it over with BT7 coming out soon. This was a real quick side deck. Not what I will actually end up going with if side decking is going to become a thing in the game. That I threw together, just a real quick example of what you could do for Jesmon. And then, our babies are the same. Babies are fine. You could, play the I in particular for this deck, I could be playing the additional Demi Mara's So it'd be a 4-1 split for like games 2 or 3. And, you know, typically, like most games, you do want your side deck in the same color sleeves as your main deck, or if you have Digi-Egg cards in here in the same color sleeves, or the same sleeves as your Digi-Egg deck, like majority of other games. And, you know, we're just going to real quick give a showcase of the mulligan rule and how that is going to be affecting things. So the mulligan is, you know, like I said, we set out our security, and real quick give that a half cut. We're not going to, you know, side deck because we're not playing an actual game, and we might as well shuffle the babies because, hey, get into the habit of that. Set your security off to the side, of course, and then you grab your starting hand. And then you go ahead and look at your starting hand. Now, this is actually a pretty solid hand, but let's say I don't like it. You take your hand and you put it on the bottom of the deck. Put your deck back, and then you just draw 5 new cards. And that is now our hand that we work with. Honestly, the starting hand that we did get way better than this. Would not have taken it. You do not have a choice of how many cards that you put back, and you do not put your security back. Your security stays the same that it is. So, you know, we'd be having an Agumon, a Savior, a Jesmon, a Bow, and another Bow. So, an okay security at best. But that is, you know, how the mulligans work. And then, you know, like game 2 or 3, I could be like, oh, I'm playing against an opponent that doesn't have access to like Gazimon, Modoki Betamon, things that stop memory effects. So I'm going to side in to my CLs because they're going to be live more often. Or, hey, I'm playing against Lilith Loop or Security Control, so I'm going to side in the Emergency Program Shutdown. Or, dang, I'm having a really hard time. I need to have destruction, and Jesmon's being able to swing over things isn't doing it. Let's side in like 2 Gaia Force. You know, things like that. And like I said, I think this mulligan rule is very fair, and this side deck is, I'm not sure about it. I think it'll be fine, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll see if this is something that Bandai actually sticks with for the Digimon TCG. Alex actually did put a message out into like our locals Discord, saying that he thinks that the mulligan should have been, instead of putting your top 5 cards on the bottom of the deck, you take them out of the game entirely. And then there's your new hand, and now you're working with 5 less cards in your deck than you should be. It's his idea. I think the mulligan is fine. You don't get more than 1 mulligan, you know. The thing will be back up on the screen at this point. But hey, tell me what you guys think of these new rule changes that I'm honestly expecting us to be sticking with. Yeah, just, you know, leave it in the comments, and while you're at it, like the video, subscribe to Team SodaKan, because hey, we try to make as much great content as possible, and we will catch you next time. Bye bye.